But the world, you see, like, is a vast place.
You know, the continent, we've been able to do some dope stuff. You know?
Dans le rap africain, bien sûr, surtout.
There's the movement of hip-hop, R&B music, house music, all that coming out of not only South Africa, but the continent in general is just amazing right now.
I was surprised how big this scene is in Africa. When I did a tour over there, and the DJ before me played so many hip-hop records and so many Afrobeats, both that I never heard before, but had the club rocking. That is such a huge scene.
C'est le hip-hop en tant que culture ou en tant que musique, si on parle du rap, dans une certaine partie du monde, aux États-Unis peut-être, les gens samplaient du funk, enfin de la musique de chez eux, si tu veux. Nous, on a fait pareil avec les ingrédients de chez nous.
Regardless where you from, you know, it's where you at.
Comfortably sitting on my sofa, smoking, floating on this fine air, reflecting on the storm. So far, I'm so far from where I come from, so far from it home. Hip-hop in Benin has grown into an influential cultural and musical movement, reflecting both global influences and the country's unique social and political realities. While hip-hop's roots in Benin trace back to the late 90s, the genre has steadily gained popularity, particularly among the youth, and has evolved into a platform for social commentary, political expression, and cultural pride. The rise of rap culture in urban centers, especially in the capital city Porto Novo and Cotonou, played a significant role in establishing hip-hop in the country. In the early days, Beninese hip-hop artists were largely influenced by francophone rap, as well as Afrobeat and traditional African rhythms. Early notable figures emerged from the 2000s and included artists like Dibidobo, who helped lay the groundwork for the growth of hip-hop culture in the country. Artists in the same lane incorporated both French and Fon, a local language, in their lyrics, blending their African roots with global influences. By the mid-2000s, hip-hop in Benin began to take on a more politically charged tone. As in other parts of West Africa, artists started to use their music to comment on local issues, question authority, and call for social change. The genre's ability to address political and societal challenges in a direct, unfiltered way made it particularly resonant with Benin's youth. By the 2010s, hip-hop in Benin had become more commercial, with artists gaining greater recognition not only within the country but also across West Africa and the diaspora. More artists began to incorporate diverse influences, West African influences, and sometimes Caribbean, coupled with the existing sound, giving Benin hip-hop a more vibrant sound overall. The music became more festive and entertaining, and artists who surfed on that wave were the likes of Vano Baby, Blaz, and crews like Cotonou City Crew. Despite its growing popularity, the Beninese hip-hop scene still faces significant challenges. The music industry infrastructure in Benin is relatively underdeveloped, and many hip-hop artists struggle with limited access to professional recording studios, production resources, and distribution channels. It's not uncommon for them to export themselves in neighboring countries to promote their music. Additionally, while there has been a rise in hip-hop events and festivals in Benin, there remains a lack of significant commercial support for the genre. This makes it difficult for many hip-hop artists to turn their passion into a full-time career, forcing many to seek alternative means of income outside of music. Hip-hop in Burkina Faso has emerged as a significant cultural movement over the past few decades, evolving from a relatively underground scene to a mainstream genre that resonates deeply with the country's youth. Reflecting the political, social, and economic struggles of the Burkinabe people, hip-hop has become a vehicle for self-expression and social critique, with local artists often addressing issues such as corruption, poverty, inequality, and freedom of speech. The roots of hip-hop in Burkina Faso can be traced back to the 90s, when global hip-hop culture began to infiltrate West Africa. As in other African countries, the spread of hip-hop came through international media, which exposed Burkinabe youth to the sounds of American rap, as well as francophone language rap from neighboring countries like Côte d'Ivoire and Mali, which still have an important influence in the mainstream music of the country. During the early stages, hip-hop in Burkina Faso was primarily an urban youth movement. Early artists often rapped in French or Moure, one of the country's major indigenous languages, and began using hip-hop as a way to address both global themes like oppression and local issues like corruption and unemployment. As Burkina Faso hip-hop movement was closely tied to its struggle for freedom of expression and democratic rights, slam, A spoken word poetry-based form of hip-hop also gained prominence in the country during this time, and during the same time, artists like Smokey became well known for their politically charged lyrics. One of the most notable moments for Burkina Faso hip-hop was the 2014 revolution that led to the ousting of Compaoré. Hip-hop played an important role in the anti-government protest, with rappers and other musicians using their lyrics to galvanize young people and criticize the long-standing regime. Since the revolution, the genre has expanded beyond its political roots to encompass a wide range of themes, including love, youth identity, social issues, and personal empowerment. Various hip-hop events and festivals have sprung up throughout the country, with events like Waga Hip Hop Festival providing opportunities for both established and emerging artists to showcase their talents. These events have also helped to professionalize the hip-hop industry in Burkina Faso, opening up new opportunities for artists and helping to develop the local music economy. Despite this growth, Burkinabe hip-hop faces challenges common to many African music scenes, including a lack of infrastructure, financial support, and professional networks for artists. Overall, the Burkinabe hip-hop scene remains local and has yet to expand itself out of the country. However, the genre is well established in Burkina Faso and set for growth. When it comes to Cape Verde, hip-hop has evolved into a powerful form of artistic expression that blends global hip-hop influences with the country's rich cultural heritage. While Cape Verde is a small archipelago off the coast of West Africa, it has developed a distinctive hip-hop scene that reflects the unique history, identity, and social issues of the country. From the early days of the genre's introduction in the 90s to its current role as a tool for social commentary and cultural pride, hip-hop in Cape Verde has become an integral part of the country's youth culture and a significant part of its musical landscape. Initially, hip-hop in Cape Verde was primarily influenced by the East and West Coast rap scenes, as well as Francophone rap from French-speaking African countries, especially Senegal and Ivory Coast. In the early days, Cape Verdean hip-hop was mostly focused on entertainment and a way for youth to emulate the global hip-hop culture. However, as the genre developed, Cape Verdean artists began to add their own cultural flair, incorporating elements of Morna, the melancholic genre native to Cape Verde, Funana, and other traditional music styles, creating a fusion that is distinctly Cape Verdean. By the 2000s, as the country faced challenges such as youth unemployment, economic inequality, and migration, Cape Verdean hip-hop artists began using their music to speak out about the struggles of everyday life. As the years progressed and the genre established itself, many artists managed to make a name for themselves, like Julinho KSD, a rapper known for tackling topics as identity and sense of belonging, due to the fact that many Cape Verdeans in general often live in foreign countries like Portugal, for example, due to the historical context. Cape Verde's significant diaspora, particularly in countries like Portugal, the US, and France, has greatly influenced the development of hip-hop in the country. Many Cape Verdean artists have lived or have family in these countries, and their music reflects the complex experience of being part of both the African and diasporic communities. Migration and the experience of displacement are recurring themes in Cape Verdean hip-hop, as many youth face the dilemma of living in a small remote nation while dealing with the pressures of migration and globalization. Additionally, to the local sounds, some artists have incorporated reggae and Afrobeat influences, further broadening the scope of Cape Verdean hip-hop and expanding its appeal to international audiences. The genre has thus evolved into a cross-cultural platform, blending global sounds with Cape Verde's unique linguistic and cultural heritage. In recent years, Cape Verdean hip-hop has continued to evolve but still remain underground. However, the genre's increasing popularity and global reach combined with the country's dynamic youth culture suggest a bright future for Cape Verdean hip-hop. Hip-hop in the Gambia has become a significant part of the country's youth culture and musical landscape. Despite the Gambia being a small West African country, hip-hop has grown steadily since its introduction in the 90s. The genre in the Gambia is unique in how it blends American hip-hop influences and later on French rap, Senegalese rap, and Nigerian hip-hop, giving the linguistic and cultural ties between the countries with the country's rich cultural heritage. In the early stages, Gambian hip-hop was heavily influenced by American trap and gangsta rap, with local artists emulating these international styles performing in English or local languages like Wolof, which is widely spoken in the Gambia. The genre resonated with the country's youth, who are seeking an outlet to voice their frustrations with social inequality, limited opportunities, and the struggles of daily life. The first Gambian rap group was Black Nature, founded in 1995. Other early groups and artists were Masla B, The Fugitives, The Born Africans, and many others who were also known for mixing hip-hop with reggae, mbalax, salsa, dancehall, and other genres of music, which led to the development of a distinct sound. The first award ceremony to promote and celebrate Gambian hip-hop artists was the Rap Award 99 ceremony on the 31st of July 1999. Now, there are various award ceremonies held to promote Gambian artists in the music industry. By the mid-2000s, hip-hop in the Gambia began to take on a more distant local flavor. Artists started to incorporate traditional Gambian sounds, drum patterns, and storytelling techniques into their music. Rappers like Killa Ace and ST The Gambian Dream emerged during this period, gaining popularity for their lyrical skills and their ability to address Gambian social issues in their music. Like many other African countries, hip-hop in the Gambia has become an important vehicle for political activism, especially during the rule of President Yahya Jammeh from 1994 to 2017, whose regime was marked by authoritarian rule, human rights abuse, and political oppression. The Gambian diaspora, especially in places like the US and the UK, has also played a significant role in shaping the country's hip-hop scene. A rapper like Passalieu is a good example of this diaspora contributing to put the country on the map. The Gambian hip-hop scene is not that big and professional, but its future looks promising as its main actor also promotes entrepreneurialism, with artists increasingly taking on roles as music producers, videographers, and event organizers, helping to create a local music industry. Hip-hop festivals and battle events have become important aspects of youth culture, creating a space for young people to showcase their talents and connect with like-minded individuals. It's in the early 90s that hip-hop first made its way to Ghana, primarily through American hip-hop culture and media. Global hip-hop icons from the Golden Age era were adopted by the locals. Thanks to that influence, as well as hip-hop from the UK and French-speaking West Africa, like Senegal, young Ghanaians were drawn to the genre and started experimenting with it. The youth, especially in the capital Accra, started forming rap crews and participating in battle rap competitions, performing in English and local languages like Twi. By the 2000s, hip-hop in Ghana began to grow into a more prominent genre within the local music scene. Festivals like the Charlie Wood Street Art Festival were a means by which the culture was made widespread, and awards like the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards helped solidifying its position in the culture. Influential artists like Reggie Rockstone, MZ Bell, Obrafor, Kwa Kese, and Sarkodie played a key role in the development and popularization of hip-hop in Ghana. These artists began incorporating local elements like Ghanaian rhythms and highlife, which led to hip life, a genre that blends highlife and hip-hop, creating a distinctly Ghanaian version of hip-hop that took over the Ghanaian music scene. While hip life continued to dominate the mainstream, traditional hip-hop artists in Ghana maintained their focus on lyrical content and social commentary. Hip-hop in Ghana, like in many other parts of the world, has been a vehicle for social commentary and political activism. The 2000s and 2010s saw the emergence of politically conscious rap that tackled issues directly affecting Ghanaian society despite the music keeping a festive ambience. Successes of Ghanaian hip-hop artists like Sarkodie also helped elevate Ghanaian hip-hop onto the international stage with collaborations with artists from the US, Nigeria, or the UK. The Ghanaian diaspora, especially in North America and Europe, has played a crucial role in the development of Ghanaian hip-hop. Many Ghanaian artists have spent time abroad or have ties to the diaspora, which has exposed them to international hip-hop trends while giving them the opportunity to influence global audiences. International artists with Ghanaian roots, like Stormzy, do not hesitate to claim their cultural origins, giving more credits to the country musically. The genre has also seen a growing global presence with African American and Afro-Caribbean artists collaborating with Ghanaian hip-hop artists, helping to foster a more diverse and international exchange of ideas. In recent years, Ghanaian hip-hop has continued to evolve, with a new generation of artists pushing the genre into new directions. Young artists like Medical, Kwesi Arthur, EL, and more recently Black Sheriff, have brought fresh sounds blending trap, Afrobeats and Afropop influences with hip-hop. Despite its growing popularity, Ghanaian hip-hop still faces several challenges. Common obstacles are linked to the industry not making it easy for upcoming talent to establish themselves and internal problems among its main actors. Additionally, the broader music industry in Ghana is heavily dominated by highlife, Afrobeats and hiplife, which can sometimes overshadow hip-hop in mainstream media and public events. Hip-hop reached Guinea around the mid to late 90s. Like many parts of West Africa, Guinea's youth were quickly drawn to American rap, as well as Francophone rap from countries like Senegal, Côte d'Ivoire, and France. The genres resonated with young Guineans, many of whom were facing similar issues than the ones from the records they would hear. Guinea's early hip-hop scene was largely underground. Young people in the capital, Conakry, and other urban areas began forming rap groups and started performing in local communities. These performances were primarily in French and local languages like Susu, Fulani, and Malinke, blending global hip-hop styles with traditional Guinean musical elements. By the 2000s, hip-hop in Guinea became a powerful means of social and political commentary. Guinea's youth, frustrated with the lack of opportunity and the political instability under the regime of Lansana Conté, who ruled from 1984 until his death in 2008, found hip-hop to be an effective platform for protest and self-expression. Hip-hop culture in Guinea has also led to the rise of graffiti, dance, street art and fashion, which have become integral parts of the broader youth culture in urban centers like Conakry. Despite the local scene not being internationally recognized, the local hip-hop scene in Guinea is definitely present and vibrant. The diaspora has played an important role in the development of hip-hop in Guinea by giving the country its most notable ambassadors as Black M from the French group Section d'Assaut, the controversial artist MHD credited for popularizing Afro-trap in France, and most recently Gazo, who's a pioneer of drill music in France. Despite hip-hop being a decently popular genre in Guinea, particularly among young people, the local scene remains relatively small and its impact minor. Hip-hop in Guinea-Bissau is a relatively underexplored but growing music movement. Hip-hop began to take root in Guinea-Bissau in the late 90s and early 2000s, as it did in many African countries through the influence of global hip-hop culture and the rise of American rap, as well as the rise of African hip-hop from French-speaking countries. At first, much of the hip-hop scene in Guinea-Bissau was shaped by the young people in the capital, Bissau, who began performing in Portuguese and local languages like Balenta, Fula, and Mandinka. Young Guineans used their music to speak out about youth, disenfranchisement, and social issues, but also used hip-hop in a rebellious way, standing out as outcasts in a society which doesn't always tend to their needs. Rappers from Guinea-Bissau still struggle to break into the mainstream both nationally and internationally. Among the few who managed to make a name for themselves in a way or another, we can name rappers like Scientista Realista and FBMJP, who for the most part can be considered as activists with the pen. Hip-hop in Guinea-Bissau faces several challenges, including limited infrastructure, economic and political instability, and lack of industry support. Hip-hop in Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, is one of the most influential and dynamic scenes in West Africa and Africa as a whole. Hip-hop first arrived in Ivory Coast in the early 80s, influenced largely by American rap and the growing African hip-hop movement. Early Ivorian hip-hop artists and groups were inspired by American rappers as well as the growing African scene that started to spawn early on. Firstly popular in urban centers like Abidjan, it is no wonder that the first Ivorian crew were able to trace back on the ACB, Abidjan City Breakers, created in the same lane as other crews from countries who fell in love with hip-hop as early as Côte d'Ivoire did, like the Senegalese City Breakers and the Cape Town City Breakers. We'll get back to it. With their first album, ACB Rap, the crew became one of the first active bands on the continent. With a heavy influence from the West, the record didn't get much applause with the Ivorian youth who was not used to that type of sound and couldn't relate as it didn't reflect the realities of Ivorian hoods. In the early 90s, a group called RAS came into the scene and became more popular than their predecessors by being a better representation of realities faced by most young Ivorians. And then many other groups gained traction following the same lane. Despite this success in the 90s, hip-hop in Ivory Coast was far from being the main genre in a country much like Ghana, with a rich diversity of original musical genres, Zouglou, Coupé Décalé, etc. In the 2000s, many artists managed to become and stay relevant, among whom the female rapper Nash, who made full use of Nushi, the local slang, and got recognized by that. We have to wait until 2010 and the advent of Kif No Beat to see hip-hop music in Ivory Coast dominating the charts and entering its golden era. During most of this decade, the group, which is one, if not the biggest on the continent, kept improving and piling one success after another, reaching not only the whole of Ivory Coast, but the French rap scene, that is, all francophone countries in Africa, and gaining traction in Europe like Belgium and France, but also Anglophone countries such as Nigeria, Ghana, or even South Africa, as well as many others around the continent. Their music reached directly or through remixes from local artists from other countries. In the same lane, many other Ivorian artists spawned in that decade, which contributed of calling this period the golden age of rap Ivoire. Such other artists include the like of Suspect 95, or other artists from the collective Kif No Beat was part of, Le 13. Many producers also made a name for themselves, such as Shadow Chris or Tamsir. The music that is produced from this period until today is more festive than anything, reflecting the general mood of Ivorian people. Today, the scene is still remaining strong and is in constant evolution with the sound constantly changing. From the fusions with Zouglou and Coupé Décalé spawned another subgenre called Maimouna, which is a type of unserious funny rap popular in the country and abroad. Despite a scene with many talents and successful artists, the main face of rap Ivoire is DDB, leader of the group Kif No Beat, who, after members of the group decided to push their solo careers, kept reaching new grounds one after another. He might be one of the most successful rap artists based on the continent, if not the one, due to his continental and also international recognition in Europe and the global French rap scene. Also, Ivory Coast benefits from a strong diaspora abroad, with many who managed to become forces to be reckoned with, and even pioneers like Caris, a French rapper originally from Ivory Coast, who popularized trap music in France. Hip-hop started to take root in Liberia during the late 80s to mid-90s. Due to its tight cultural ties, American hip-hop culture was welcomed by the Liberian youth, and it wasn't long until they started experimenting with it. During the 90s, probably influenced by the growing African hip-hop movement, Liberia's hip-hop began to implement more local elements such as language, accent, and mostly the use of the colloquial dialect, which is at first Liberian slang but became the most popular vernacular language in the country. This blend gave birth to hip-hop, which is until today the name of Liberian hip-hop, and its evolution through the years made it an interesting subgenre of hip-hop music and in a unique style on its own. In the early days, the genre served as a form of youth rebellion as it did across much of Africa, offering a means of self-expression in a country recovering from the horrors of civil war, 1803, and facing political instability and economic hardship. As hip-hop continued to spread across Liberia, several artists began to emerge as prominent figures within the scene. These artists not only contributed to the genre's development, but also used their platform to raise awareness about the social and political issues of Liberia. Takunje, one of the most recognized names in Liberian hip-hop, became known for his politically charged lyrics and his advocacy for social justice. MC Caro, another influential figure in Liberia's hip-hop scene, is known for being one of the few female artists in the country's hip-hop movement. Hip-hop is deeply influenced by the country's post-war context. The genre has served as an important means for youth to voice their critiques of the system. These critiques are often directed at both government officials and international bodies that have been involved in the country's post-war reconstruction. Despite the growing popularity of hip-hop in Liberia, hip-hop, the genre faces several challenges that hinder its broader development as a relatively non-efficient industry, and the lack of royalties also hurt the revenue streams of musicians. Despite the efforts of its artists, and different attempts of continental and international recognition, hip-hop is at this day a relatively minor actor of the hip-hop culture in West Africa. A country with a strong oral tradition, like many around it, due to its griots, Mali has through the years been rich of different rhythms and expressions. The use of drums and high-paced beat has always been present and has given the country a real unique musical identity. When hip-hop first started to come to Africa and implemented itself in countries like Senegal or Côte d'Ivoire, it was predictable that the cultural movement will also reach Mali in the 80s. However, the journey of hip-hop in Mali hasn't been an easy road. Early on, the first Malians to adopt the genre were not quite positively looked upon. Like in Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, or other countries with early access to hip-hop, the first hip-hop artists and faces of the movement were coming from favorable social environments, explaining their early access to international trends and movements in general. Therefore, the message and music did not necessarily reach the most part of Malian youth who didn't have the same background, plus they were seeing the first hip-hop enthusiasts as wannabes American or Europeans. In the early 90s, as the culture evolved, a few Malian hip-hop heads started to make a name for themselves, such as the group Sofa, who was the first one to air on national television, followed by other groups as Mel Grove and artists like Hamkoulel. As the years progressed, and with the incorporation of more local elements like the Bambara language as well as local rhythm and themes, the Malian hip-hop movement started to gain more ground on the youth. As we come to the early 2000s, Malian hip-hop take a more serious tone with artists adopting a more moral message, tackling issues and hope. Among the ones who managed to make a name for themselves, we have the group Tata Pound. The Malian hip-hop scene kept progressing at a reasonable pace until the 2010s, with the emergence of more production houses and artists who didn't hesitate to experiment with other influences and differentiate themselves from what Malian rap became sonically. In that lane, we can name the likes of Hibawan and others. During this period, hip-hop in Mali became really popular and managed to outshine well-established genres in massive events. As of today, the Malian scene remains solid despite having many shortcomings, with hip-hop artists struggling to make a living out of their craft for the most part. The combination of traditional music and hip-hop gives Mali a unique voice in the global hip-hop scene. Most people remain positive about the evolution of hip-hop in Mali, while a few others have a more pessimistic expectation, thinking that the best is already behind them. Hip-hop came in Mauritania in the late 90s and early 2000s, influenced by global American rap and the growing African hip-hop movement. The genre was introduced through media diffusion of hip-hop records from overseas, particularly from nearby countries like Senegal and Morocco. Mauritanians in areas like Nouakchott, the capital, and other big cities were exposed to the cultural revolution that hip-hop represented and began experimenting with it, incorporating local languages such as Hassaniya, a variety of Arabic spoken in Mauritania, Wolof, and Pula into their lyrics. The complexity of Mauritanian identity, which is shaped by a mix of Arab and African heritage, sensitive themes like modern-day slavery, as despite the fact that slavery was abolished in Mauritania in 1981, there are still traces of this period in today's Mauritanian society, where, among other themes, particularly tackled for these young Mauritanian hip-hop enthusiasts. Hip-hop hasn't grown immensely in Mauritania during the years thanks to issues like censorship from the authorities or a global lack of means. Hip-hop in Mauritania is still a relatively new and evolving cultural movement, but it has already become an important local medium for young people to express their frustrations, hopes, and desire for change. Mauritanian hip-hop is shaping a distinct voice within the larger African hip-hop scene, and we will keep an eye on its evolution. In Niger, hip-hop emerged in the mid-90s. Reaching the country as the popularity of the genre was increasing worldwide, it reached Niger and resonated with a part of its youth. During the mid-90s, pioneering groups like Todd One, Massacre, and Homeboys were followed by La Kalkani, Kaiden Gaskia, Osika, Wangari, Kamikaze, and Georgie, who gained popularity between 94 and 95 in the country. The genre is a mix of various languages spoken in Niger, mostly the Hausa and German, coupled with French and English. The sampled music is usually upbeat, mixed with traditional local music and energetic dance styles, influenced by French, American, and West African hip-hop, especially from Côte d'Ivoire. The hip-hop scene in Niger was moderately launched and then popularized nationally. It gained massive popularity through radio broadcasts and concerts. Dissatisfied young Nigerians used this genre to express their anger about issues like forced marriage, child slavery, corruption, AIDS, and poverty. Local recordings were sold in cassette and CD formats. The first known album in the genre was La Voix du Ténéré by La Calcani, released in 2000, but it is said that many records were already circulating. The early 2000s marked a booming time in Nigerian rap. The numerous groups from the 90s inspired many, and hip-hop gained in popularity in the country. Despite its popularity, the conditions were not ideal for a stable scene, and hip-hop in Niger hasn't been able to establish itself. Many artists are inconsistent due to lack of means. Despite these issues, hip-hop remains to date a very popular genre in the country, with several events to keep the culture alive. Hip-hop began to take root in Nigeria in the early 90s, largely through the influence of American rap and the growing African hip-hop movement. Nigerians were introduced to the genre through global media of all types and music TV channels like MTV and Channel O. US artists from the 90s served as major influences on Nigerian youth, drawing many into the hip-hop culture. The hip-hop movement in Nigeria was at first largely centered around cities like Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, where youth culture was rapidly evolving. Early Nigerian hip-hop artists from the late 90s to early 2000s, such as Tribesmen and Mode 9, began to blend American hip-hop styles with local Nigerian languages such as Pidgin, English, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. In the early 2000s, hip-hop in Nigeria began to emerge as a mainstream genre. It played a key role in the evolution of the Nigerian music industry, particularly with the rise of Afrobeats, a genre that combines traditional African rhythms with modern hip-hop, funk, jazz, and dancehall influences. This fusion of Afrobeat and hip-hop resulted in the emergence of new, commercially successful styles of music that helped define Nigerian urban music. The 2000s and early 2010s marked the rise of many Nigerian hip-hop artists who managed to become relevant in a country with a great musical diversity. We can name the likes of M.I. Abaga, credited with bringing Nigerian hip-hop into the mainstream thanks to his success in the mid-2000s. Neitosi, known for his blend of Afrobeat with hip-hop. Olamide, although Olamide is often categorized as an Afrobeat artist, his hip-hop roots are undeniable. Fino, for his blend of local culture with global trends. Nigerian hip-hop, like much of African rap, addresses a variety of social, political, and personal issues, while reflecting the complexities of Nigerian life. Much like hip-hop in the United States, Nigerian rap also reflects the experiences of the urban youth, the struggles with poverty, crime, and the quest for success. Artists often discuss life on the streets, the desire to escape poverty, and the challenges faced by youth in Nigeria's urban centers. The Nigerian hip-hop music, despite sometimes the seriousness of the themes, remain mainly hyped and festive. Also, thanks to his immense diaspora, artists from Nigerian origins made impact all over the world, particularly in English-speaking countries like the US and the UK. We think of the likes of Skepta and Dave, to name a few. The Nigerian hip-hop scene is still evolving and is currently one of the most popular on the continent. Despite facing a few setbacks and a lot of criticism like the lack of substance as it is constantly decreasing through the years, hip-hop artists adjust their sound quality to popular genres like Afrobeats to commercialize their craft, which is not always seen from a keen eye. The influence of other genres also limit hip-hop reach in Nigeria, yet the scene is still growing with new artists popping up and going mainstream on a regular basis. Hip-hop in Nigeria has evolved from a subculture in the 90s to a mainstream musical force. The genre has shaped youth culture and reflected the aspirations and challenges of Nigerian society. From social activism to party anthems, Nigerian hip-hop encompasses a wide range of themes and styles, making it one of the most diverse and influential hip-hop scene in Africa. As Nigerian hip-hop continues to innovate and collaborate with artists around the world, it is poised to remain a key player in global music culture. Hip-hop made its way to Senegal in the early to mid-80s, making it one of the first African countries to be hit by the hip-hop movement. The early days of Senegalese hip-hop were marked by the influence of American rap pioneers such as Run DMC, KRS-One and Public Enemy. In the early days, several groups like the Senegalese City Breakers started forming around Dakar mainly and then spread over the country. As young Senegalese kept experimenting with the genre, they went from reproducing American hip-hop by blending it into something more relatable to their people with the integration of local sounds and languages, that is the Wolof language, the most widely spoken language in Senegal. In the 90s, hip-hop began to take hold as a prominent genre in Senegal, coinciding with the rise of globalized African youth culture and the growing importance of radio and TV stations in distributing music. This was the period when Senegalese artists started gaining recognition both locally and internationally, particularly in the West African and Francophone hip-hop scenes. We can name Positive Black Soul, formed in the late 80s, which is one of the most influential hip-hop groups in Senegal. PBS is often credited with helping to establish hip-hop as a dominant genre in the country. MC Solar, a pioneer in the French rap scene, was his root from Senegal and logically resonated with the youth there. Dara J, a duo, was known for their powerful and political lyrics, advocating for African pride and the empowerment of youth. Xuman, an influential solo artist who made empowering music for the Senegalese youth. Themes tackled by hip-hop in Senegal, especially during its early stages, are political activism and social critique. In a country where politics and social issues are central to daily life, Senegalese hip-hop artists have used their platform to address topics such as youth unemployment and poverty, political corruption also present in the country, violence in some hoods and regions of Senegal, cultural pride and African identity. Nowadays, the themes are more varied, but the hip-hop in Senegal kept its original roots. Another thing that makes rap from Senegal distinct is the use of mixed languages of Wolof, French, and even English that has become common, allowing artists to appeal to both local audiences and international community. Today, while Senegalese hip-hop has experienced considerable success, it has also faced and continues to face a few challenges, such as limitations due to minor censorship from artists openly criticizing the authorities, an industry not that developed considering its history, fears of commercialization as artists focus on appealing more to the masses. It dilutes the original message of hip-hop in the country, and it is a debate that currently keeps the hip-hop enthusiasts in Senegal preoccupied. Also, other issues like piracy remains a problem in the country, with illegal distribution of music affecting the ability of artists to earn revenue from their work. Senegal is seen as a pioneer in the development of African hip-hop, and its artists have inspired and collaborated with artists from across the continent and beyond. Senegal has also become a key player in the broader Francophone hip-hop community, with artists from France, Belgium, and other French-speaking African countries frequently collaborating with Senegalese rappers. Its diaspora also had an impact at different periods of time, with the likes of the singer Akon, who became known worldwide, and more recently the collective 667 and its leader, the controversial rapper Freeze Corleone, who made big waves in the Francophone hip-hop scene. Hip-hop in Senegal is a cultural movement and a powerful tool for social change. From its roots in the 80s as a pioneer in Africa to its current role in shaping political discourse, youth identity, and social issues, Senegalese hip-hop remains a dynamic and influential force in the global music scene. With its unique blend of traditional African elements and global rap influences, the genre continues to evolve and reflect the aspirations of Senegal's youth. Sierra Leone, like many African nations, was exposed to the global spread of hip-hop during the 90s via TV, radio, and media outlets from the time. Some young people, especially in the capital Freetown, began to embrace hip-hop as a form of self-expression and a way to reflect on the challenges they were experiencing. Hip-hop in Sierra Leone was more of a subcultural phenomenon among urban youth and stayed that way during the decade. The Sierra Leone Civil War from 1991 to 2002 played a significant role in shaping the content of hip-hop music, as many artists used the genre to express their frustrations with the violence and displacement caused by the war. After the end of the Civil War in 2002, Sierra Leone entered a period of reconstruction and renewal, and hip-hop began to flourish as a key part of the cultural landscape thanks to the post-war generation who found in hip-hop a form of culture to relate to. In that spirit, the early 2000s saw the rise of several Sierra Leonean hip-hop artists, including Emerson and Cayman, who gained popularity for their distinct styles, which included singing and African rhythm, for some with incorporation of local languages like Creole, the lingua franca of Sierra Leone, into their rap. They used hip-hop as a way to tell stories about life in post-war Sierra Leone, often addressing topics like poverty, youth unemployment, and the struggles of daily life. Over the years, the hip-hop in Sierra Leone differentiated itself from the US, who was still the main sonic influence. Sierra Leonean artists infused their music with local instruments like the balafon, a type of xylophone, and traditional drumming, West African musical traditions, creating a distinctive fusion of hip-hop. As the years progressed and the country was getting back on its feet, the themes tackled by the Sierra Leonean scene were still similar to the ones from the early 2000s, but with a focus on unity, national pride, and global issues like globalization and African unity. Except for the previous ones, other artists made an impact in Sierra Leone hip-hop, including Cao Denaro, considered by many as the most successful. Today, while Sierra Leone's hip-hop is still developing, the genre serves as a powerful tool of expression, social commentary, and activism. It allows young people to voice their frustrations, reflect on their country's history, and envision a better future. Despite challenges, the genre has become a central part of the country's cultural identity and is helping to shape the social and political discourse in the post-war era. With an active local scene, the future of hip-hop in the country looks promising, especially as the next generation of artists continues to build on its legacy. Hip-hop first made its way to Togo in the early 90s, following the global spread of rap music from the United States and in other francophone countries. Like many other African countries, young people in Togo were drawn to hip-hop through the influence of American rap and the growth of the African hip-hop movement. The genre quickly found a receptive audience, especially in the capital, Lomé, where the urban youth sought a new cultural voice that reflected their experiences. Early Togolese rappers typically performed in French, replicating the ways of the ones who influenced them. As young Togolese kept experimenting, they also began incorporating local languages such as Ewe and Kabylie, which reflected the linguistic diversity of Togo. The 2000s saw the rise of Togolese hip-hop as a more distinct genre within the country's music scene. The growth of local talents, alongside with a growing interest for the genre in the country, helped establish a more structured music industry in Togo. Local radio stations like Radio Nana FM and TV channels played a major role in promoting local hip-hop music and helped distribute it, giving Togolese artists greater exposure and connecting them with fans across the country. With their music, Togolese hip-hop artists talked about identity, struggle, and resilience, among other topics. As we progressed to the 2010s, Togolese music became more influenced by its neighbors from West Africa, particularly Ivory Coast, and started developing similar sounds. Over the years, several Togolese artists made an impact on the scene, such as Lom Vance, a notable artist in the Togolese hip-hop community, and Ghetto V, was appreciated from the locals. The Togolese diaspora also made an impact, as a rapper like Ateyaba, who doesn't hesitate to claim his Togolese heritage, is a pioneer of new school hip-hop in France and francophone hip-hop. Nevertheless, it is safe to say that the most accomplished rappers out of Togo is the duo Toufan, who managed to conquer the local and international public with their festive music and catchy lyrics, becoming a reference in Africa. Hip-hop in Togo is a dynamic and growing cultural force with room for growth. While the genre is still developing compared to other African countries, it has gained significant traction in the country and is continuing to do so.
Comfortably sitting on my sofa, smoking, floating on this fine air, reflecting on the storm. So far, I'm so far from where I come from, so far from it home.